China's story is long, brutal, beautiful, and complicated. It's not just emperors and dynasties, it's inventions, wars, revolutions, and a nation that's been rebuilt more times than you can count. From mysterious ancient tribes to the skyscrapers of today, this is one of the most insane timelines in human history. So sit tight. We're about to break down the entire history of China, from ancient times to now. Most people think of China as just one thing, a rising superpower, maybe communism, or just a country that makes your phone. But that completely ignores thousands of years of transformation. This place was once made of warring kingdoms, buried. Emperors with armies of clay got invaded by the Mongols, then conquered them back, built massive trade networks before Europe even left the continent, and then nearly fell apart during the 1800s. So the question is, how did it all survive? And how did it become the China we know today? Let's rewind. Way back. Before the dragons, the dynasties, and the emperors, there were farmers. The story starts along the Yellow River, one of the two major rivers that shaped early Chinese civilization. It's around 7000 BCE. People are settling in small villages, growing millet, raising pigs, and creating pottery. This is the Neolithic period. The most famous prehistoric cultures, the Yangshao and Longshan. These weren't empires, but they were the building blocks. The Longshan people built walls, made black pottery, and possibly had early forms of writing. But there's one culture that's still debated, the Xia dynasty. Here's where things get blurry. The Xia is often called the first Chinese dynasty, but there's no hard evidence. Most of what we know comes from later texts. Think of it like a legend that might be real. They supposedly ruled along the Yellow River with leaders like Yu the Great, who supposedly tamed massive floods. Real or not, the Xia set the stage for the next big thing. This is where the history becomes clearer. The Shang were the first confirmed dynasty in Chinese history, and they were hardcore. They built bronze weapons and chariots, had a writing system carved into bones, oracle bones, and worshipped ancestors through elaborate rituals. Kings ruled from fortified cities like Anyang. Human sacrifices were real. And this early writing, it eventually evolved into modern Chinese characters. The Shang weren't just ruling, they were documenting. For the first time, we have a glimpse into ancient Chinese beliefs, politics, and daily life. Next came the Zhou, and they lasted a mind-blowing 800 years. That's longer than the Roman Empire. They came in swinging, claiming the mandate of heaven, basically saying, "We rule because the gods want us to." It was a brilliant way to justify overthrowing the Shang. Early on, things were strong, but over time, power slipped away. The Zhou kings lost control, and China broke apart into a chaotic mess. This period is known as the Spring and Autumn period, followed by the Aizu Warring States period. China was a giant battlefield. 7 major kingdoms fought non-stop, each one trying to conquer the others. It was brutal, but it also sparked genius. This is when Confucius lived. Also, Laozi, Taoism, Sun Tzu, the art of war, and other brilliant minds. Philosophy exploded. People were asking, how do you live a good life? How do you rule people fairly? How do you survive war? Out of this chaos, one state rose above the rest, Qin. Only 15 years long. But what a legacy. The Qin, led by Qin Shi Huang, crushed the other states and unified China for the first time. He called himself the first emperor. He built the first version of the Great Wall, standardized weights, money, writing, even the width of cart axles. He was also obsessed with immortality. His tomb, still unopened today, is guarded by thousands of life-size clay soldiers, the Terracotta Army. But the empire didn't last. After his death, rebellion erupted. Enter the Han. This is where China really shines. The Han expanded territory, boosted trade with the West through the Silk Road, and became one of the most powerful empires in the world. They developed paper, refined Confucianism, and built a massive bureaucracy. Science, art, medicine, everything flourished. The Han Dynasty made China the heart of East Asia, but after 400 years, even golden ages fall. When the Han collapsed, China fractured again. War, invasions, and short-lived kingdoms took over. Northern China was ruled by various nomadic tribes. Southern China stayed mostly Han Chinese. This was a messy time, but Buddhism began spreading deep into Chinese culture. Eventually, another powerful dynasty would reunite the land. The Sui dynasty was short but powerful. They built the Grand Canal, which still exists today. But their projects were too ambitious. People revolted. Then came the Tang dynasty, a golden age of poetry, art, and global influence. China was cosmopolitan, trading with Arabs, Persians, and even Europeans. Cities like Chang'an were packed with scholars, merchants, and monks. The Tang military was strong, and its culture shaped East Asia. But a rebellion known as the Anlushan Rebellion shook the empire to its core. Eventually, the Tang faded out. The Song dynasty wasn't the biggest in terms of land, but it was one of the smartest. This is when China invented movable type printing, paper money, and advanced gunpowder weapons. They were the first to use compasses for sea navigation. Their paintings, philosophy, and city planning were ahead of their time. But then came the Mongols. If you thought this was epic, you should see our next video.